Hello and welcome to the Meeple Minded. My name is Jason, and today we are checking out Sneferu, Builders of the Pyramids. I love me a good Egyptian theme, so this one has me excited. Let's hit the new intro and get ourselves stuck into the game. In this game, Pharaoh Sneferu is acutely aware of his inevitable demise, and following not one but two failed attempts to build a pyramid worthy of such greatness, his patience is starting to wear thin, and it's now time to enlist your help in building the third and hopefully final pyramid, where the pharaoh will be laid to rest when the time eventually comes. The components in this game are actually pretty nice, with the punch board being of substantial thickness, the graphic design perfectly applied pretty much everywhere, the game board having a nice size and table presence, all adds to the value presented in the base game box. It is fair to say at this time that I paid extra to upgrade my game board to the neoprene matte, and the building tiles also are a nice acrylic as opposed to the punch board. But, being completely honest with myself, this really wasn't needed, and the stuff that comes in this base game box is more than adequate to play a good game of Sneferu. Coming standard in the box is the player boat, used to travel up and down the Nile collecting resources to build your pyramid. These are nicely cut, and the colours pop nicely against that sandy backdrop of the Egyptian desert. A minor complaint I do have, and I do really mean minor, is the slight difference in colour used for the brown symbols between the tiles and the main board. A few players that I played with commented how they were unsure if they had matched the bonuses, as they were slightly different shades of brown. So it's a very, very minor difference, but it's a difference nonetheless that was picked up on by multiple players. The storage of the game, I have to say, I'm going to give a big shout out to, because while the game does not come with a box insert, a rare time for me to say it's not needed. The game board and player boards all fit in this box perfectly, with very little movement for it to get around and bash around and thus cause damage. And the tiles themselves also sit in a nice cloth bag to stop them rolling around loose in the box as well. So that's pretty good indeed. The pyramids, being of pyramid shape, fit nicely together to form a square, which ironically is the same size as the interior of the box, so very nicely designed that is. The gameplay of Sneferu is also very good fun, with some interesting decisions to make along the way as you try to maximise the building capabilities without spending too much in the way of food and time, meaning that you run out before the game ends, and then thus ending your game while all the other players are able to carry on building their pyramids higher and essentially having a bigger and better pyramid than you, which would win them the game. The simple player turn of take a tile, pay for it in movement or food, and then add it to your pyramid means that even the newest and youngest of gamers can join in, while having the ability to play tiles in certain ways to gain extra bonuses keeps the more experienced amongst us just as engaged without giving them too much of an advantage when it comes to winning the game. Winning the game, as I mentioned just now, is done by all the players getting to the end of the track, and whoever has the most blocks within their pyramid will be declared the winner. If there's a tie, of course, then it comes back to who has the most remaining food. And if there's another tie, Then it goes to who has the biggest cluster of connected symbols. And if there's still a tie, you get where I'm going with this. There's quite a few tiebreakers in this game. So I get the feeling that even during the design process, this game had quite an array of people tying for victory, and they had to come up with more and more and more to eventually declare a winner. There is a part in it though, however, that says even after all of these tiebreakers, if players are still tied, you share the victory. The rules state that all players must make it to the end of the track before the game ends. And this is a nice touch because yes, I could blitz through the game, but the truth is I'd be better to move slower because then I'm able to gain more building tiles, thus building my pyramid to a much higher level. And then ultimately the player with the most at the end, as I said, is declared the winner. So slow and steady is definitely the way to go in this game. So it's time to summarise my thoughts of Sneferu, Builders of the Pyramids, to give it its full title. Every game seems to have a bit of a subtitle nowadays, so I prefer to just go for the main name. But let's talk about the game, because the Egyptian theme is, let's be honest, not really a new thing to the tabletop gaming sphere, with some notable ones such as Kemet and Ankh, gods of Egypt, just to name but a couple. So where does Sneferu fit in? Well, I'd say nicely, because Sneferu is a quick, lightweight, family-friendly experience that encompasses some basic gameplay with some rather interesting decision-making and bonus chaining along the way. As I said earlier, that is really good for bringing in sort of new blood to the hobby and introducing them to the game, while also still keeping those more experienced players engaged in the gameplay and wanting to play the game in the first place. Is the game going to be teaching you the history of Egypt? No, not really, so it doesn't really have that educational balance to it. But that being said, I'm a huge fan of Egyptian mythology and history and stuff like that, and I happen to know that Pharaoh Sneferu was real, and the story behind the 3 pyramids is also true. If you did not know, a free lesson for you. The 3rd pyramid, which is the one that in theme that you're building in this, actually was the Red Pyramid in Egypt. It was the first ever smooth-sided pyramid, which ultimately was the precursor to the Great Pyramids of Giza, which everyone knows. Back to the game though, I found that the game, to be overall, was a bit of a big maths equation, if you like. Figuring out the best path to victory, for the most part, is balancing the expenditure of food and time. Time moves you forwards on the track, of course, which cuts your chances down of getting more tiles, while food is also fairly hard to come by without making use of bonuses and set collecting. The ultimate path to victory, in my experience, is finding a way to not move more than 1 or 2 spaces at a time and keeping your food costs down to a maximum of 4 food per tile that you gain. This is doable most of the time, but not always. To add to the challenge of just solving the math quiz though, the random tile drawing adds in a much needed dose of random gameplay, meaning that you just can't use the same cut and paste strategy in every game, which is actually quite good. The addition of the quarry bonuses is a nice touch, but I have to be honest, I can't personally say that they benefited me in the games I've played, as they just did not align with what was best for me at the time. I'm sure there is a strategy where you kind of want to build your pyramid around those bonus tiles to try and maximize your bonuses, I guess, but yeah, I can't really say I felt the need to do that, and it's not hindered me from winning the game in any way. So they're a nice addition, but don't be too distracted by those should you wish to play the game. For the cost of this base game, I was impressed with the production, and I will openly say the deluxe components that I have purchased are in no way a requirement to enjoy this game. I'm just a bit of a sucker, really. So yes, I do indeed recommend Sneferu, Builders of the Pyramids. At least, I recommend it a lot more than getting trapped with thousands of those scarab beetles. Nasty. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this week. If you have enjoyed what you have been seeing, of course we have to ask you to do those typical YouTube algorithm things. So if you have enjoyed it, like the video, share the video, leave a comment down below, and of course the most important one, subscribe to the channel to not miss any more tabletop gaming content from us here at The Meeple Minded. But until next time, I have been Jason, you have been watching The Meeple Minded, and I will see you on the next one.